In this episode, I just want to challenge a certain mindset. It is a mindset that many of us young people hold, and we actually hold it as a philosophy of life. Most of our misery, disappointment, and failure actually comes out of this mindset. Now, this mindset is the mindset that once we have attained this level of success, life is going to get easier. That may be true, but here is the problem. We seem to think that there is that promised land wherein when we arrive, there would be happy ever after sort of life situation. And I just want to say that this mindset could be the most dangerous mindset for any young man to hold. What happens when you have spent a lot of years and anytime you cross a bridge, you quickly learn that life hasn't gotten any easier, but as a matter of fact, it has gotten only more and more difficult. Now, this is a very dangerous mindset. Why do you think successful people work harder? Those same people who have what you are looking for, those same people who have arrived at a place you are journeying to. Let's think about this question. Hi, Assalamu alaikum. You are about to listen to Human Bound Podcast. This is the voice of your brother and host, Ali Hambal. I want to thank you very much for joining me on this episode and on this podcast. It has been a wonderful journey, and I truly appreciate your support. If this should be your first time, just in case, here is what you should know. What I do on this podcast is to explore questions. Now, I explore these questions in a spirit of curiosity because this is what I believe. I believe as human beings, we have more legitimate claim to curiosity than we have to knowledge. After all, what do you know? Nothing. You see, life is too short, and the moving element of life and of the world is so much, it's a lot, it's overwhelming. So you can't know everything. But if we ask the right questions, we would see much more and we would appreciate different dimensions of life, and it would make this life quite interesting. So that is what I try to do. So, way back in school, SHS, for those of us who have been to school in Ghana, we read this book in our English class, The Gods Are Not to Blame, written by Olarotimi. I love that book. That book is so amazing, wonderful story. And I love that book so much that I memorized some portions of the book. In fact, in our class, I used to be the reader of the book whenever the teacher wanted to teach the book. He would call on me, Ali, could you read it for the class? And happily so, I would read it for the class. I drew a lot of joy because the book was so wonderful, it's so fascinating. And there is this line the book starts with, and it is so wonderful. It says, the struggle of a man begins at birth. It is meet, and then that our story begins with the birth of a child. Now, the line, the struggle of a man begins at birth, is such a wonderful line. It starts with birth. And then the question is, do we stop struggling ever since we start struggling as children? We are dropped into the world and we are pushing, we are kicking, we are crying, we are shouting. Every child cries. As a matter of fact, that is how we know the child is alive. If it doesn't cry, the doctors would have to find out why he is not crying. So that crying becomes one of the signs that a child is healthy and he is alive, so that as soon as we are dropped onto the earth, we begin to cry. Every child cried the moment he was born. Now the question is, do we ever stop crying? Do we ever really stop crying? Think about it. Children, they cry, voice out loud. Everybody could hear them crying, shouting. And then they shed tears. And then sometimes we see their tears drop. As children, that's how they do it. They are not bothered about who is listening. They are not bothered about who is there. They are not bothered. They are not protecting their self-esteem or anything like that. No, they just cry it out. Children, That's how they cry. But I believe that older people actually cry as well. Now, what happened between our childhood to our adulthood is the fact that we have learned so much to cry in silence. Whereas the child cries out loud to the hearing of anyone around, adults cry internally. It is one thing to cry out loud, and it is another thing to cry inwardly. Outward crying is just like exterior pain. Inward crying is like internal bleeding. Internal bleeding requires a lot of sophistication before you can heal internal bleeding. That is why you can easily heal the problem of a child, but very complex to even know the problem of an adult because we don't cry to the earrings of people. We cry inwardly. As a matter of fact, many of those who show a lot of smiley faces are the saddest people in the world. They are the people who cry a lot. Silent cries all over the place. You think he is happy, you think he is smiling, but he is in tears. That is how adults learn to cry. Why are we doing this? Now, we have learned that when we cry out, we get embarrassed. Sometimes we get disappointed by people who are supposed to feel our pain, but they use that same cries and that same tears to their advantage and they made us suffer. So, because of that, we learned to protect ourselves by crying inwardly. We must show strength. That's at least the way we see it. We mustn't allow people to see our tears. We rather have to cry inwardly, silently, suffer in silence. That is what's happening to adults. But the point is, we truly never stopped crying, have we? Ever since we dropped and started crying as babies, all the way from year zero to maybe year 40 or year 50, we never stopped crying. It's just that we cry simply, we cry differently. So the cry never stops. And the struggle never stops as well. So we push as children, we kick our feet, we do all those things. And in the same way, we do it as adults so that the struggle of a man begins at birth and it never stops sometimes till the day we leave this world. So the real thing in life with respect to human being is the struggle. The struggle is always real. It has always been real and it is the only thing that never stops. Why am I talking to us about struggle? Because of this perception that we have, I told you I'm going to try to challenge this idea, this thinking that once I have attained this level, I'm going to stop struggling and I'm going to stop working and life is going to be happy ever after. We used to watch these movies and they still make them. Now you watch all these fantastic movies and the beginning of movies always open like this. Everything is good. Okay, the hero is enjoying his family, he's having a happy life, and always something would come to stir it up to introduce some drama, make life interesting. No, boring life is just boring. Always Allah would have to introduce something to kind of make life interesting. You see that struggle that makes your heart beat, that is the excitement of life. I mean, you don't want a flat life. A flat life is a life without any drama, without any adventure. You are just still, you are just at one place. I will talk more about this as I go, inshallah. But I just want you to think about this. The way they make these movies, it's just the way life is. In the beginning, they introduce to you the hero of the movie and everything is good. Now they met each other and they fall in love, like Romeo and Juliet, and they are happy. And somewhere along the line, something just come up and it threatens this happiness, this harmonious climate of everything. It comes to distort everything. And the hero will have to fight. Perhaps he would have to fight for his home. He would have to fight for his success. He may have to fight for his love. And at the end of the day, he would achieve everything. He would win. And once he won, then the movie closes. Sometimes they write this beautiful statement, and then they live happy ever after. Is there really such a thing as happy ever after? I don't think I don't think so. I think the end of one success is just the beginning of another struggle. It's just the beginning of another serious trouble. So that it's just like points and anchor points and joints. That is just the way it is. So that the end of one struggle is just the beginning of another struggle. So that you never have happy ever after kind of life. But that is the way movies are. And then the movie finishes, the movie ends, and then we are satisfied. Now everything is good. We have now relaxed and we are back to our, normal state. It is okay if it's a movie, but in a real life, if you hold this as a way of thinking, as a philosophy of life, that you would arrive at a place where there would be happy ever after, I just want you to think twice. Because what happens is if you hold an erroneous philosophy, when I say erroneous philosophy, I'm talking about a philosophy that is just a perception devoid of any reality. So that reality is on one side and your perception is on the other side. Now, if your perception and your mindset and your philosophy is far away from reality of life, then you are going to meet a lot of disappointment because life is always going to play itself, is going to be life. Irrespective of the way you think about life, life is just always going to be life. There is this statement that I heard, it's funny and I think it's very true. They say, if you want Allah to laugh at you, just show him your plan. Yeah, if you want God to laugh, show him your plan. Just go and say, Allah, this is my plan, and that is the way it's going to be. Allah would go like, no way. What I want is what's going to happen. Now think about it this way. Your plan is your perception. Reality is Allah's perception. Allah's perception always win. Allah's way always win. So the real question is, how do you tailor your philosophy, your mindset to suit actually the reality? Now think about it. The thinking that once we have attained this success, this level of achievement, we are going to live happy ever after. Is it really in keeping with the reality of the world? Now this is a good question we need to ask, isn't it? Now what is the reality? The reality is that the successful people that we know actually do not stop working. Some of them, once they have attained some success, the success that you and I are looking for, the bank balance that you and I are trying to get, many people have that, and yet they don't stop working. Now, that is the reality. And these are the people we are looking up to. These are the people we want to be like. Now, when I say success here, I'm not talking about just success in terms of monetary or material kind of achievement in life. This is success in every facet. It could be success in your relationship. It could be success in your financial life, economic life. It could be success in your social life, maybe in your community, you have succeeded in becoming a notable person. It could be a success in your personal life, like you wanted to build a certain kind of personality and now you have achieved that. It could be success in maybe losing weight. You have worked so hard to lose weight. Now you have attained that success. Now the question is that the end of it? Here is what I learned. The cost of acquisition is, no, let me just phrase it this way. The cost of maintenance is more expensive than the cost of acquisition. Here is what I mean. The cost of you getting what you want in terms of struggle, in terms of what you have to sacrifice, is far less than what you would have to use to maintain that. Think about it like you acquiring a car. You have bought a car, how much? Say maybe £5,000. Good. Now, you are going to use that car for like 20 years or 10 years. How much do you actually think you're going to spend in keeping that car and maintaining it? Now, think about the fuel, okay? Think about the oil change. Think about the servicing. Think about the change of parts. From time to time, some parts go obsolete and you need to change them. Think about like the maintenance of the car. Think about washing the car. Think about all of these things, the change of tire, sometimes the change of timing belt, the change of exhaust, whatever it is. Over the period of that 10 years or 5 years that you use that car, the cost of maintaining that car is going to be more expensive than the money you used to buy that car. Now, this is not even talking about the time you may have spent in getting these things done. So that there is a monetary cost and there is a time cost, and then there is like some kind of emotional cost. All of that is more expensive. Now, in much the same way, when you acquire maybe a relationship, what did it take you to get that relationship? I mean, you have gotten that love of that lady, or you have gotten the love of that guy, your dream lady. Oh, this is the perfect life I want. Now you have managed to get married. How much did it cost you to get married? Okay, say from the day you met that lady all the way up to the day you got married, it cost you something. It cost you time, struggle, and all of that. All of that is not going to get anywhere close to the amount of money and sacrifice and time and emotion and maturity and patience that you would require to maintain that marriage and relationship. So that love, maintaining relationship, maintaining marriage is more expensive than actually getting that love. This is why cheap people cannot maintain love, because love is too expensive. Okay, it's too expensive to maintain. No, love is too expensive to maintain. Good heart is too expensive to maintain. Marriage is too expensive to maintain. These are valuable things, which is why many people, cheap people, might get any good heart, but they can't keep it. They would lose it because the cost of maintaining these things are more expensive than the cost of acquiring them. This is why many relationship like can't hold, because the people in those relationship just cannot afford those relationships. They are just too expensive. I mean, think about you having a child. Giving birth, well, I'm not trying to undermine the struggle of mothers. Mothers are wonderful. Giving birth, I believe, is one of the miracles of life. Wow, I just want to give a big shout out to our ladies, to our mothers who actually carried us in their womb for like months. It altered every biology and psychology of their being ever since ever since they conceived us and till the day they went into labor and drop us. Do you realize how difficult that is? I mean, shout out to our mothers and every woman out there. You don't know how much strength Allah has given you guys. I mean, ladies, women are just something else. Now, guys will just have to get them pregnant, and that's it. You just have to, provide. But here's the case: all of this suffering that parents might go through before that moment where the boy drops and he's crying and he's healthy. Now, the cost of acquiring that child is done. Now comes the cost of maintaining that child. What is it going to cost you? Okay, you have to do this costing. Okay, it's going to cost you your maturity. You've got to be mature as a parent, because immature parents would actually make or will actually bring up a very traumatized young boy. And when we have a traumatized young boy, then you have a traumatized adult. You are having a destroyed life. So the most important cost that any parent would have to factor in is not the money, is the maturity. Are the parents in a good mental state? Are they traumatized themselves? Do they need some healing? Because what I have learned is that many parents actually transfer their trauma, they actually transfer their sickness, pass it down onto their children because they have not healed. And they actually took their trauma as a way of life and they think it would work for the children. So it is a cost. Away from mental cost, you have to look at time cost. How much time are you going to invest into this guy, this new boy, this new girl that you have just given birth to? It's all costing. How much money are you going to spend? Hospital, feeding, sheltering, schooling. How much? How much emotion would you have to invest in that child because you're going to have to love him? You're going to have to give him unconditional love. How much emotion would you require in terms of strength to see your child like making some stupid mistake and arguing with you? I mean, you have seen it, you've been there, but this is a young guy. He doesn't know, but he argues with you. That is painful. How much emotion would you require to to accept the disappointment the child is might actually bring your way in life? These are all costing, and bringing up that child is definitely more expensive than acquiring. So that the cost of acquisition is more expensive than the cost of maintenance. That is just the way it is. At least that's the way I think it is. So it really means then acquiring that position is just one end. Maintaining that thing is actually the real work, which is why I believe or I think that successful people work harder not to acquire that thing, but to maintain that thing. Maintenance is the real deal. That is where the work is. Because you can't afford to lose what you have worked all your life to get. Now, you may say this is a very kind of depressing state of affairs. I know you might want to think it is depressing, but it is not. Few years ago, I met this guy. Like, he's old and he's still working. He's got the money. He doesn't need to work. Okay, he would enjoy everything, but then still he works. I have been thinking about it. Why? I'm just working right now to get a fraction of what this guy has got. But he just doesn't stop. This is something that I have thought about for a very long time. And I think I have, I get it. I think I get it. What is it? Think about our old people, our old folk, your mother, maybe your grandmother or your grandfather. There is this thing that we do, we people in Zongo, the people of Zongo, usually when we travel abroad or when Allah give us any fath in life and we are able to make something for ourselves, like get some money, and now we are doing well, the first thing many of us would love to do is to do something nice for our parents. I truly pray that Allah gives you that success that you are looking for so that you can take care of your parents. I mean, many of us are struggling now for nothing. We just want to make our parents proud. Some of us want to make it just to wipe the tears of our loved ones. We just want to give our moms the houses they want. We just want to try to do something nice for the people who have given everything for us. For many of us, that is why we wake up every day. That is why we go out into the world, and that is why we sweat and draw tears. If you are one of those people, I sincerely pray that Allah gives you that success, my friend. Because ain't there nothing better than you wiping down the tears of someone who has sacrificed for you? I mean, that has got to be the most satisfying thing in life. To just wipe down the tears of your mother, that woman who sacrificed everything for you. Because you see, those mothers sometimes, their lives stop being their life the moment they give birth to you. I mean, they have suspended every dream, every ambition, they have suspended it. Now we became their life project. For many parents, that is the situation. And they're nothing better than a guy making it in life. And he now can wipe down the tears of his mother and the people he loves. I don't think we must do it to shame enemies. I mean, why enemies? No, I've got loved ones to show love to. I don't care about what enemies think about me. It's so sad that some of us think like, let me make it so that I shame my enemies. Really, it's all about your enemies. Your enemies have got that level of influence in your life that you would have to go through all of that just to make them feel ashamed. Are you even normal? Don't you have loved ones? Don't you have a mother? Don't you have a wife? Don't you have a son or a daughter? Don't you have a brother and a sister? Don't you have no one in your life? All of these people, can't you just do it to make them proud? You are just doing it to make your mom, to make your enemy someone who don't deserve you. You just want him to be jealous so that because of him you buy things you can't afford and you can't make it well in life. You just have to fake it just to put them to shame. Are you even normal? It just doesn't make sense to me. I have got loved ones, man. I've got a mom. I've got sisters. I've got wives. I have got daughters. I've got sons. I've got brothers. I've got friends with whom I go way back. If I make it, I make it to wipe down their tears. Not some enemy I don't know anything about. In any case, what we do whenever Allah gives us this, as young people watch this, in Zongo, what we do is to buy them some house, build a house in those new areas, far away from town, far away from Zongo, far away from Ababu, Roya, Majema, Sawaba, far away. We have lived in Zongo. We detest, we hate the way it is. The people are lovely. I love the people of Zongo. We all love them because we are all Zongo people. We love us. But there is something about the life that people are trying to get away from. Kananan magana, ya yawa, a lot of gossips, a lot of backbiting, a lot of disrespect. I mean, a lot of harm and the pulling down and all of that. Makes people like resent the community to stay in the community at least. I mean, let me get something outside the community, but during the daytime, I would come to the community and I would enjoy some attire. But now, Alhamdulillah, I've made it. Let me build some house away from Zongo. And when I build that house, I'm going to take my mom there far away so that she won't have to suffer in this house, in this compound house. Now, the compound house in Zongo is those housing system built very long time ago, and usually they don't have toilet facilities in them. Usually, they only have an enclosed area for bathing, but then you would have to sort yourself into some bushes. Those are back in the day. Zongo community, we've got a lot of forest reserves, bushes, and all of those places. So if you want to relieve yourself, you just go into those bushes and relieve yourself. So moving forward, the government built some few public toilet facilities for the Zongo communities, just to prevent people, from going to the bushes. Okay. Now these are just one of those things, but we have come a long way, and this is not really happening because nowadays we don't have like a lot of forest, reserves in the Zongo community. I mean, we used to have a forest reserve and some sort of a reserve, natural reserve down at Sawaba, no behind the Sakafia down there. It used to be forest and water reserved and a whole lot of like natural life there. That is just where now we have the municipal assembly towards Mompong. It used to be like that. And though when you have KUK, what do we call it, KTI, okay, we used to have all of those things, as you are going towards Anaga, but now we don't have. Even Aswasi, where now we have Aswasi market, it used to be like forest. There is not just forest, but a lot of trees there, a lot of trees. But now we in Zongo, you can hardly, all right, you can hardly see a tree sort of reserve area. I mean, we have cut down all the trees. All the trees, we have cut them down. And we have replaced them with buildings, okay? Shops, stores. We have replaced them with sort of commercial activities sort of infrastructure, so that in the whole Zongo area, like from Abu Station all the way to like Mampong, Bobai, you don't see those things anymore. We don't have them anymore. All cut down. Well, I think more Kontompo, I have not been in Kontompo recently, but Kontompo used to be, because it's very, very close. It's in close proximity to the Kumasi Airport, Ashanti region. But now I don't know its state. We used to go in there to hunt, pick up some fruits back in the day. What I'm trying to say is, back in the day, Zongo used to have this very, very fresh, natural sort of life, you know, stuff. The trees are there, providing quality air and all of that. But now we have replaced it with even some harmful activities in our areas. Activities such as like burning of, tires, burning of wires, and all of these things go into the atmosphere, it goes into the air, and people actually live there, and we inhale these things. Do we even know the harmful effect of these chemicals once we inhale them in our system? But then we do it. Okay, it's like, fast forward, we have moved away from a natural kind of ecosystem, okay, environment, climate, to a very, very unnatural one and a very harmful one. Unfortunately, that is the way it is. I don't know if we could make some effort to like start planting some trees. I don't know. I'm just saying, hey, crazy man here, just thinking aloud, just thinking that if we start to like grow some few trees, I mean, would that be a bad idea? This is just the way this is just my thinking. I don't know if you agree with it or not, but I think it's a good thing to have some natural trees in there, in the community. I think it's good. I think it's good. At least it would help us in our, in a whole lot of healthy ways. Anyways, in this community, the way it is now, young men like us, when we get any resources, what we are looking to do is to build a house away from the community, far, far away in those new sites. And we would just say to our old parent, usually it's just the mom. And then we will say, Mom, I have built this mansion. I just want you to leave this Zongo. Okay? A lot of trouble here. Just go far away. And for some reason, I don't know if you have met this kind of protest. You're trying to move your mom away from this community all the way there, and your mom would go like, Bonzua. I mean, you literally would have to fight your mom to take her far away. Wani lokacin kayi gini, kana son ka kai mahaifiyarka, ka kai ta gidan da ka gina. Allah ya bude maka. Kana son kai wani abu mai ban sha'awa, kai ma ka gan ka share wa mahaifiyarka hawaye ta. Amma ban sani ba ko ka taba tunani, so da yawa idan aka zo ana son a kai iyayen, sai su ce ba sa zuwa. I just won't go. Some of them would just say, look, there is no way you would make me. Why is that? I have thought about this for a very long time. And think about this. As young people, we enjoy our struggles. That is where we get our joy from. And that's why some of the young girls and young guys will say, we will just try to take pride in some kind of a lonely life. So that if you have internet and you have TikTok and you have all those things, you don't need the company of anybody. You just want to leave the world alone. As young people, we don't care because we are busy with certain things. But there would be a time where now we derive our main source of joy from human companionship. Have you ever thought of the fact that when you grow old, there is nothing more that you may want in life than to just be with people? Yeah, yeah. Now, imagine you have this old mom and she has lived with the people, that compound house. Every morning she wakes up, someone would just come into the room and say hi. She would feel the presence of people in the house. At least she would come out from her room, sitting there in front of her room, and she would greet everybody. She would see faces. But what happens when she goes to the new site? The only face she would see is the darkness of her room, emptiness. Nobody is in there. And then who would start looking for someone to live with her? I'm talking reality. I mean, bari mu kai mata wasu jikokinta. Okay, that might solve some problem. Have you ever considered the fact that sometimes we just want to meet people that we are at the same age group with? I don't want to play with my grandkids. I just want to have that colleague of mine, that lady I lived with, my neighbor next door. I think one of the harsh realities of old age is the fact that your friends are either dead or incapable of associating with you. I think that is one of the harsh realities of old age. That's why Allah says, وَمَن نُعَمِّرْهُ نُنَكِّسْهُ فِي الْخَلْقِ, yeah? That anyone to whom we have given a lot of age, we're going to reduce something, diminish something of his creation. Now, this affects your mind, this affects your body structure, this affects your health, and it affects your social setting. So that if you have a lot of age, what about your friends? Do they have the same age longevity as you have? No. In most cases, they are dead. Imagine life without friends. Imagine life without a life partner. How would that affect a person? So that it's not just in your creation, it's even in your social interaction with life and world. But we're trying to get them there so that they can settle. And nothing more difficult than that. I'm not saying just leave your mom to remain miserable in those houses, but I'm just trying to say appreciate where they are coming from so we may approach the topic with some level of compassion and leniency and understanding. Now, why am I talking about this? I'm talking about this because when we get to the point where we are no more working, life becomes something else. But at old age, even these guys, they would want to get up and do something. Have you ever seen your old lady? Okay, she is in the house, you are providing anything. She doesn't need to do anything. She just needs to just sit. But then she would try to get up just to pick up something from there and then just walk slowly, put it there. Have you ever seen an old lady who just doesn't want to sit down? You see, life is not made to be stagnant. As a matter of fact, what you don't use, you lose. Allah has given you eyes to see. If you don't use your eyes, you lose your sight. Allah has given you mind to think. If you don't think, you lose your mind. Allah has given you a heart to feel. If you don't feel, you lose your heart. There are times we sit on our hands or sometimes we sleep on it. Have you ever slept on your hand and it goes numb? And then in the morning, you wake up and it's like it's part of your body, but you can't use it because you have sat on it for a very long time. That's why it goes numb. That's what happens when people sit on their happiness, on their heart for a very long time. It goes numb. Okay? And what is it that sits on your heart for a very long time? Oh, it could be that breakup. So the weight of that breakup has actually sat on your heart for a very long time, and it has actually prevented you from using your heart for a very long time, and now your heart is numb, and now you can't use your heart. And now you meet people in life, people who are actually good, and you really want to use your heart, you really want to show love, but the problem is you have forgotten how to show love because you haven't actually expressed love in a very long time. You have sat in your love emotion, your heart for a very long time, that you don't know how to express it. So that it's not about you not you. That's why laziness is a disease. What I'm trying to say is the idea that I have attained a certain level so I won't have to work anymore, it doesn't respond with life because life is always requiring, is always in demand of action. Think about this. When Allah was about to create the world, He told the angels, He says, وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. Think about the word in here. He said, when Allah said to the angels, I'm going to make for the world a representative, someone to represent my interest onto the world. Now, this is the word of Allah. He didn't say, I'm going to create a man. No. He didn't say, I'm going to create a being, an Adam. Khalifa, and he mentioned him by his work to represent God. That is work, which means the struggle of man begins at birth. That work starts from birth and it doesn't end. This is why people who work always attain some level. Now, you may say, that is just depressing. Am I supposed to then work all my life? Now, you see, I don't know why you find this problematic. Because work isn't supposed to be a punishment. If you are finding work punishment, it's because you are not enjoying what you do. Here is what I'm trying to say. When you are doing what you love, it gives you energy. It provides a lot of energy to you. But if you're doing what you hate, it drains energy from you. Have you ever been in that situation where you have immersed yourself in something that you love to do so much that you have forgotten you had to eat? Sometimes you sit on your computer, you sit on some project that you love, and you feel like you need to go to the toilet. But you go like, nah, I can hold it. Okay? You still want to hold it. Why? Because like you enjoy this. And it is work. But you don't want to leave. You even forget to eat because you enjoy it. Now, where did you get the energy to do this work? That love you have for that thing that you do, you have for that work, is that which provides energy for you. So that when you do something you love, Allah sources energy and fuels that thing. In much the same way, if you work at a place you hate or you are working on something you hate, it drains your energy. I mean, think about the reason why you go to your job in the morning. It's just few hours work. By the time you get home, you are exhausted. I mean, some people walk into their workplace in just 2 hours, they are exhausted. They don't have love, they don't have passion, they don't see any reason why they should be there. It will just drain your energy. And once you get your energy drained, I mean, you live a very pathetic and depressed life. I used to work at a place and there was this guy. He always come to workplace complaining about his work condition, about his boss, about his job, about everything. He complains from morning till he finishes work. He goes home and he carries on complaining. I think it's a miserable way to live. But you see, the question one might ask is, well, say what you can, but right now I am stuck at this job and I hate it. Because of that, I get depressed. Anytime I set foot at my workplace, I get depressed. I don't enjoy my work and I don't know how to even feel good about my work. I think there is a solution. You see, don't forget, anything human being does and don't see any meaning into it, he will detest it. He would hate it. So that if you are taking a journey, it doesn't matter where you are. If you have it in your mind that this place where I am right now is actually a stage in a process that would make sense, then you will have fun doing it now. Which is why if you are at a job that you ordinarily hate to be in, but then you realize that no, this job is actually a process. I am using this job as some sort of a station. Then you will enjoy working there, even though it's not your dream job, but because it contributes to the whole picture, it contributes to the grand scheme of things, that you would understand that this is just a step. And the moment you have that thinking that this is a step and it is a necessary step, You will find job at that place and you will struggle with joy. That is how you get energy from the work that you hate. You assign meaning to it. And when you assign meaning to it and you start loving it, then it will give you energy. Do not forget what I said. Any job that you love doing would give you energy, and any job that you hate doing would drain energy from you. This is the difference. So this is why successful people work, even though they work after their success. They are not working out of misery. They are actually loving what they do. Which is why that mindset that I'm going to stop working and I'm going to be happy ever after is a dangerous one, because any stage in life you would quickly learn that life hasn't got any easier. It has gotten actually harder. And it is now requiring more from you than it did in a stage before. So that any stage of life would introduce different levels of struggle. Now, what happens when you already prepare yourself to rest at this stage, only to realize that there is no rest here? And then many people would go like, oh, life is a scam. It's not a scam. Your mindset is the scam. When you have a wrong mindset, the life is going to punish you for it. Because what happens is your mindset is the perception, but life is the reality. And until you are able to sync your mindset with the reality, you are just going to get disappointed. Do not blame life. Blame your perception. And the perception that there is going to be a place where you stop working, where you don't do anything, it just doesn't exist. As a matter of fact, points that I made in this episode is that first, the struggle of man begins and it doesn't end till the day he dies. What do you do then? You have to learn to enjoy your struggle. Do not forget, life is not about the attainment, it's about the journey. That's why Allah in Quran, the very first prayer that we make in the Holy Quran is when we say to Allah, Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim, that Allah guide us to the path. Now, path only, connotes journey. Now, journey is for you. Now, journey is something that you do till you get to a certain destination. Now, the destination in this world is death. So that it is all about the journey. Those people who actually enjoy their lives are those people who enjoy the journey. So that the attainment of success is really not the meaningful thing in life, it's rather the journey. So that the end doesn't really justify the means actually assign meaning to the end. Whatever you acquire, I am not bothered about what you have, I'm bothered about how you have actually acquired it, because sometimes you acquire it and you don't even get to enjoy it. Why? Because in the process of acquiring it, you have actually damaged yourself. You might have damaged your health. You might have damaged your conscience. Yeah. You might have damaged your relationship. You might have just sat back, got busy, and just let life slip by. And now you have attained it and you are now 60, 70 years and you turned back and life has just gone by. Life just slipped away. I'm not bothered about what I get at the end of the day. I'm bothered about how I got it. How you got it is actually one thing that will assign meaning to what you have, so that the end doesn't justify the mean. Actually, the mean assign meaning to the end. It makes the end meaningful. So that is one thing. You have to enjoy your struggle. Why would you have to do that? Because when you enjoy your struggle, it gives you energy. If you love your job, it gives you energy. If you love what you do, it gives you energy. If you hate it, it drains energy from you. And then the second one is what you don't use, you lose. Okay? If you don't use your body, if you don't work, you lose this beautiful thing that Allah has given you. So why do you have to work? Because we are made to work. We are made to be active. Action is what characterizes life, is what characterizes growth. Everything is act. Life is just being life all the time. It's happening. It is an action. It is movement. It's a rhythm. Okay, there's always something vibrating. Once life exists, something is vibrating. The moment it stops vibrating, death happens. Once you are alive, you really cannot do without it. What I'm trying to say is, instead of you thinking you are going to get to a certain point where you don't have to do anything, why don't you think about how am I going to enjoy, like position myself at a place in life where I would enjoy every single day of my life. I would enjoy every single step of my life. Every work, I'm going to enjoy it. I mean, that would be the itch. That would be the thing. For you to wake up every day and enjoy every single step you take. That is the real success. Well, sometimes we don't get to have that when we start. But then, if we are able to work well and position ourselves well, we will get that kind of life where we'll enjoy everything that we do till the day Allah calls us to His side. May Allah give us that wisdom and ability to understand and appreciate life and enjoy what we do. May we have this sense of freedom at spirit and heart and mind, so we understand, so we enjoy our lives. I mean, that's all it is. May Allah make it so, and it can be done, and it will, and it has been done for many people, and it can be done for you. May Allah make it so. Thank you very much for staying with me in this episode. Assalamu alaikum.